Dropback not only saves teams thousands of dollars by helping them play Moneyball with data, we also save them hundreds of hours by automating tedious cap activities to help GMs get back to what they're best at: watch film, recruit great teams, and build their most competitive roster. While Dropback's strategy module helps teams intelligently come up with valuations for their athletes against their budgets, their priorities, and with data, Dropback's contracts and payment features help save administrators hundreds of hours through tedious paper pushing, copying and pasting from Excel, and avoiding errors during the negotiation, signing, and approval process. We're going to walk through Dropback's advanced contract construction features and how teams can one-click automatically generate contracts, route through our e-signature product, and go from prospect to proposed contract. Let's dive in. We help save GMs hours from paper pushing and traditionally manual contract workflows through contract automations built into Dropback. As you can see here, this is our active roster in a demo environment where I've gone through, I have all my budget pools, I've done my strategic allocation of how much to spend on a player compared to the value model and what they're worth per my strategy. And now it's time to dive into actually transition some of this data into an active contract. So let's start from scratch. Let's say we have this player, Anthony, who is a potential target for us. He's coming on an official visit. We have a starter already, Jake. Jake already seems to have a signed and completed contract, and we'll look at that in a second. But for Anthony here, it looks like he might say yes at 350. So let's actually go through the workflow of creating a contract. First is that you actually select your contract template. There are many templates to choose from because these are all actually created by you. You can choose any contract template based on what you have created. So this demo example looks like I have a default for a 2-year, a default for a 1-year, an alt, a special terms, and all this information can be edited at any point in the settings. The settings can obviously change the name, you can change the active start and stop dates, you can change the different contract periods. So if a contract should have 1 period, 2 periods, i.e. buckets of time where you might want to change the contract's terms. And then finally, uploading the document. This is the most unique part of Dropback where we actually take your GC approved document language and can automatically generate contracts with dynamic data from a given athlete and inject that information directly into your contract to save hours from copying and pasting. So we highly encourage our users to not only create these contract templates from scratch, but also to upload their contract templates for use of automations later. So let's say we're just going to put Anthony on the default 1 year. Great, this loads in the baseline of the contract. As you can see here, there's some key information. It looks like I already typed in $350,000 because this was the target spend. This is really easy to type in and manipulate at any time. We know that there's a lot of moving parts, and so you might want to really quickly jot down the number and not have to fiddle with a bunch of drop downs and sliders. And so this is the target amount. And during the contract creation experience, we're always going to trend against the target amount. And so spend versus target basically means spend is what we have documented on the contract of where we're going to give him and when, and target is the amount that we're going to work up towards. So this given contract, it looks like I've elected for a 1-year contract, and that contract has 1 time period, 1 term. You could add multiple contract periods, so you might want to have a term that's built for spring ball and then a term built for the rest of the year, but that is highly customizable to you, and in this instance, we're just going to go with 1 term. Built into this term now, how are we going to actually allocate the 350 grand? Well, this can go across all the different budget pools that I, as an admin, have created in the product. These are all the different budget pools up here, and now I want to basically allocate this amount for the different budget pools. So let's just say hypothetically, we're going to start with revenue sharing is going to be at $300,000, and we'll start the collective amount at around $50,000. Great, so this pre-fills a lot of information for us. This was really round numbers, 350 is 300 plus 50. It looks like we've then allocated all that spend to the target, and so we've fully allocated the contract. But we do know that there's a lot more strategy built into this. You might actually want to get really creative to say, well, maybe his collective deal in January should be higher because we want to help with moving costs, and so we might work with a local moving company to sponsor an NIL deal. And so we might actually have a balloon payment for January, and that might be a strategic way to have a signing bonus, might be a great way to help him with his moving expenses. Again, what we just did is we just changed the amount for a given pay schedule. And so there's a ton of strategy built into contracts, as you can see. There's how much does that spend allocated across contracts? Because of course, this is one contract where you could have multiple contracts here. Has it allocated across periods, across budget pools, and ultimately across payment schedules? So I added this budget pool here because it looks like we agreed to a, let's say $10,000 NIL opportunity with a local moving company that's going to take place in January. But now this actually puts me over my allocated amount. I said I was going to pay him $350. I currently have on the books $355. And so there's tons of dynamic alerts and trends just to make sure that you are always up to snuff when allocating the capital and not accidentally overspending
either your budget pools or what you had promised for a given athlete. So now that I went through the balance the rest of the pay schedules to get the contract status back to green, it looks like this is actually ready for potential signature. Taking into account all your different budget pools, the statuses of those pools, the breakdown of the payment schedules, we have a one-click feature for you to actually export this payment schedule directly to your desktop, where all that data for Anthony, his breakdown of his contract and budget pools and pay dates, are now an attachment that can be appended to your contracts for easy negotiation, redlining, and approval, saving hundreds of hours from copying and pasting data into Word templates across hundreds of athletes for your entire athletic department is now simply done in a click. So now it's time to actually view Anthony's contract. So this is where we get into the process of actually routing a contract for signature. So to the right here is all of our contract information that we just spent some time building. And now it's actually time to create the document and include that for signature. So first what I'll do is I'll actually upload Anthony's contract with that appended payment schedule data. And so I might just make a contract, I'll call it Anthony. I'll go ahead and upload that appended information and his contract literature. So now I'm gonna actually build some recipients. I could enforce a signing order or other details about the recipient workflow. The first one will be me, loop tests. It's gonna go to my email. And then I decide, am I a signee? Am I just an approver? Do I just have to force view it, etc.? There's all that information built in. You can add additional signers, an infinite number of signers. And this, as you can see, is very similar to like a DocuSign. And we actually help athletic departments save thousands of dollars off their DocuSign bill from not having to spend money on additional envelopes for revenue sharing contract workflows, because Dropback's built-in e-signature workflows are the same legally binding workflows and technology as DocuSign or similar. So already helping athletic departments save money, as well as save time by having the same place for contract flows built into the same location that GMs use to strategically allocate their capital. So let's go ahead and finalize this contract by actually putting the signature blocks. So as you can see here, this is just a test example, but this is the payment schedule that was automatically generated for a given athlete. And I would be able to drag their signature block or any other information for that, click save, and now the document is ready for signature. As we can see, the document is here. It's currently in a draft state. It's set to send to me. And now all I have to do is click send, and it is now officially routed for signature, where the entire e-signature, red line, negotiation approval process can live directly inside of Dropback. You can always monitor the statuses of this contract as well as many others in the contract view within Dropback. So I can go to contracts, and this is the entire pipeline of all contracts that we have, stored by draft state, completed, currently sent. You can see for the ones that are sent, who has already signed, who has viewed it but not signed. All this information is dynamically pulled in real time. So you have a bird's eye view into contract workflows, because we know that every single minute matters in the transfer portal. Then once your talent is secured, that contract is marked as complete. That document can either be stored within Dropback or routed to the document storage platform of your choice. Again, contracts is one of the many innovative workflows built into Dropback, the pro-grade software built for college athletics. We're excited to walk through more demos here coming soon.